Hi there, welcome to another Secret Scoring Weapons. This is 3 quick tips which I've extracted from one of my favourite pieces of music. It's the opening to the main title from Star Wars. And I've just mocked it up very quickly with BBC Symphony Orchestra in order to use these parts so I can separate the parts out just to show you the 3 things that I think are really useful to take away from this particular incredible piece of music. So let's dive straight in. I'm going to play you first of all the section which I've mocked up. It's literally just the first 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 bars, 7 or 8 bars, something like that. And then we'll talk about it. Okay, so you can hear that I am using, just to make things quick and easy, I'm using the main mix here in BBC Symphony Orchestra, but I've also got the spill mics on, the full mix of the spill mics, just to give a little bit more room depth. I have actually tried this out also with the close tree and outriggers and the spill mics. It sounds really good and actually brings it slightly closer to you, gives you a bit more definition, a little bit more punch on those brass parts. But let's concentrate on what we're doing today. So the first thing, which is probably incredibly obvious, is the brass interplay. And it's a combination of interlocking the parts so that they are playing slightly different things at different times. But it's also the interlocking of the different rhythms, which makes this so compelling, this opening for the brass. So first of all, let's just solo all these brass parts and have a listen to these on their own. So the 2 really exciting things here for me are the use of these kind of multi-tongue, what we call in our libraries multi-tongue patches, but it's actually combinations of double tonguing, triple tonguing and quadruple tonguing. And when you get to this kind of speed and you get to this to these kind of quadruple tonguing patterns that are fitted in a tiny space, you can hear that it's a 4 rather than a 3. But actually what you're getting here is just almost a blur of excitement. And so having those performances recorded is a great, it's very, very hard to kind of replay those on staccato patches. So that's a first tip, is to use those multi-tonguing patches and put these little things right before an accent. So it just drives you through to the next beat, to the next accent. The other thing that I love about this is the combination of duple time and triplets. So while you've got one part going yum bum 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 bum, you've got another part going da 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 da, and it might not be as obvious as that. It might be just that, for example, the horns have at the beginning of the second bar go dum bum bum. So they are doing duple time. That's a dotted crotchet and a quaver, but underneath them the trumpets are playing triplets. So it's the fact that all of these things kind of lock together like some fantastic puzzle, and the gradual build is the parts coming in separately and gradually building up to that amazing hit. Then post the big moment after the run up, you've got these great parts where you're mixing up again duple time and triplets, but also you've got these fantastic triplets going over. So instead of just dividing each crotchet or each quarter note into triplets, so dum 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 dum, you're dividing the minims into triplets, the half notes. So it's dum 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 dum. So anything that you can do with like that to subdivide these beats and put interesting cross rhythms between the different parts in a section. Really, as long as you're writing for a professional section or a really good amateur section, these things really work. Beware that if you're writing something for a younger school band, it won't work because their timing, they don't inhabit the timing quite as accurately, and it will just sound like a bit of a mess. So that's one thing to bear in mind. So that's my first thing, is those are my favorite elements of the brass section. Now, if we jump over to the strings, as I say, this is a super quick mock-up, so haven't actually listened to any of this in isolation yet, so not quite sure. Hopefully this won't be embarrassing. But let's whack up the violin trems and the percussion section, the triangle in the percussion section. Now, this is something which I would never have thought of just putting together, of having the violin trems and the triangle playing a roll or a trill or a trem, or however you want to think of it. But have a listen to them playing together. Okay, so you get the idea. What it does is it helps the violin, or the kind of the excitement that you're getting from those violin trems, to punch through to the listener. They're just going to get kind of lost amongst everything else. But having that triangle in just adds almost like a kind of shadow, like an incredible burst of harmonics that seem to be coming from the strings. So that's a great one. The second thing that I love is where we have some tremolos. They're fingered tremolos in the woodwinds. So I'm going to just whack those up quickly now. In fact, we'll put all of the woodwinds, not the bassoons, because they're playing the bottom part. We put those woodwinds up there, and they are playing along with, again, the violins. And it's worth popping the harp in as well, because that really adds something special there as well. So let's pop that in. So we'll play it from where the string run happens. The woodwinds run up to the top, and then you have, I've only put in one bar of it, but you get this lovely kind of interplay between the fingered tremolos and the string trems. So check this out. So you get the idea. There's only a little bit there, but you can get the impression that you get from those trems and the fingered tremolos. I haven't even bothered putting in piano parts. I just wanted to just use the BBC SO for everything in here. So I haven't even added the piano part, which is also doing a kind of measured trem between those two notes, those kind of chords in both hands. But that's a really fantastic sound. So two great sounds where you place things that kind of expand the timbrality, if that is even a word. I don't even know if that's a word, of what might have just been a single sound. So first of all, the string trems, popping the triangle on to give you that burst of harmonic sound through there. And then here, using the measured trems along with the normal trems, string trems, those kind of fingered things that you can do on the woodwinds sound absolutely great together, and a little bit more interesting than just a static trem chord. Now, while we're there, the other thing that I wanted to draw your attention to is that scale. So from the opening of the whole piece, it's very clear what key we're in. I don't think any of us are going to have any difficulty in understanding the key there. However, what's really unusual is when we go to our run up. Now you can hear there, that's not a major scale, is it? So literally sandwiched in this one beat, even though it's kind of rallentando, it's slowing down a little bit before we kind of go back into the track. You've just got right there in that one beat, this minor melodic scale, and it's actually, let me pop a sound up. So you've got, it's B flat minor, you've got B flat, C, D flat, E flat, F, and then the raised 6 and 7, and finally back to the keynote. And it starts, this is another useful thing, the pickup starts on the leading note of the scale, which gives you just the right number of notes to end up on the keynote. So 8 notes and then the keynote. So that's another useful thing. And for me, the takeaway from this is just to be a little bit more free and easy between my major and minor and modal, to a certain extent, moments in pieces. So don't feel too rigidly locked into a specific key. It's sometimes really nice to just kind of put in a really quick juxtaposition to the minor key, for example, like we have here, or to a mode or something like that, just to give that kind of added kind of air of magic and mystery to something. A really, really fantastic trick that is. So what an incredible piece of music. And just even looking at those first few bars, there are 3 takeaways which I will try and remember to keep and use in my own compositions. One of which, those fantastic brass interlocking parts, experiment with the multi-tongue patches and with different brass rhythms, cross rhythms going against each other. The second one, expand the timbre of a sound that you've got. So if you've got something like those trems, think about how you can double it, how you can color it using a different sound, which will expand the color of the sound that you're using. And then the third thing is to drop in those little surprising shifts in key, whether it's go briefly to the minor, briefly to the major, slap a bit of modal stuff in there. Just do things that that just keep the listener kind of on their toes, waiting for what's going to come next. And that all of those things will add interest and excitement to your tracks. So thank you very much for watching. Hope some of this was useful. See you on the next one. Bye-bye.